She heard a calling. She knew the Lord had called her to do a podcast. You have a garage.
Yes.
You had a mouth and you had a microphone and some things. So you got started because the Lord called you to start. And the more you look at that, the more you realize how much time we waste. We waste it in conversations we don't have because we're so concerned about what the other person will think in that conversation. And so we just don't say it.
Right.
I don't think that what I said to you that day was anything profound.
Wow.
It was compelled to me to say it.
Yeah.
And I'm living my life now unapologetically in the love of Jesus Christ, in who he created me to be. How many listening to this podcast today are holding back on conversations that the Lord has told them to have? We have to be bold. The Lord calls us to be bold in our faith and be bold with each other.
Right.
And I really want to challenge those of you listening today to go have that conversation. You know it. It's in your heart.
Right.
When you feel compelled, have it. Just have it.
Yes.
So. Hello, welcome back to our podcast. I'm really excited to start a series called The Power of One. And I'm so excited to have Victoria here today. I'll let her do some introductions on who she is and what she does and all those great things at the tail end. But I really was very, very excited. And so it's interesting, when I asked each of the guests, I said, I just want you to think about the power of one. And I know this is tough for most people to believe, but I let go of a little control that I had to know what their power of one was. And so I'm walking into every one of these episodes today with very little knowledge. So with that, Victoria, I'd love for you to do an introduction first and tell us about yourself. I know all the great, amazing things, but for our listeners, take a second and do that.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. And it's a full circle moment for me for so many reasons, and we're going to dive into it. And so I am Victoria Odekomaya, and I am the founder and CEO of LiMStudios. We have a content space in Castleton, and actually we are here in
in this space, right?
I also have a creative marketing agency. Our goal is to help brands, small business owners, and female entrepreneurs build their brand, help them generate more leads, and also build a legacy. So, yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, it's so funny. We're going to talk about that, I think, story that weirdly led me to this space. So, all right, Victoria, we're going to jump right in. The power of one.
Yes.
The power of one what?
Conversation.
Okay.
Yes. So this right here is happening because of one conversation that started a while ago that I had with the beautiful Rebecca Bowman of RB Consulting Agency. So I started a podcast in my studio. I mean, well,
I remember.
It was my studio, but it was in my garage.
Right.
And I was looking for women that I wanted to bring on and just talk to them and kind of see what they're going through, and really looking to amplify their voices and what they, know, because we're so talented.
So, but let me pause you right there, because I think you're right over that. She heard a calling. She knew the Lord had called her to do a podcast, and then we start kind of with what we have.
Right.
You've got a garage.
Yeah.
You've got some stuff, and you start putting it together. And I don't want to breeze over that, because I think that most people look at you and me now sitting on this podcast in this space and think, right, but I don't have a space, and I don't have that. You have a garage.
Yes.
You had a mouth and you had a microphone and some things. So you got started because the Lord called you to start.
Absolutely.
I don't want to brush over that.
No,
so,
thank you. Yeah, that's so important because I started with what I had.
That's it. What do I have? People think that you need to have millions and millions of dollars, and I'm going to create this large company. If I don't have, the bankroll of whatever, I can't start it.
That's right.
I can't start it. And you're a perfect example of. In your garage.
Yes, in the garage.
I'm sure your husband loved that, giving up the car space. And I'm sure that went over really, really well.
He was very supportive. Still very supportive too.
But your garage.
Yeah,
just garage.
That's right. And, we had a conversation before we actually started filming about how we, in this studio, we have a ton of equipment. And I said to you that eventually I learned at some point, even though we want more equipment, we want more this and want more that, at the end of the day is what we are able to do.
Today.
Yes.
Today.
With the little bit that we have.
Everybody waits until they have all of that before I do anything.
Yeah.
And you started with a garage.
Right.
I think of the companies that got started by packing books in a garage.
Yeah, I mean,
and
Amazon.
Now, Amazon. They packed books in a garage.
Right.
So I want our listeners to hear that where you are today, you could start.
Absolutely.
Right here, right now. Now
With what you have.
We're gonna talk more about God's abundance because I know where you're going because I was a part of that conversation.
Yes.
But I really don't want that point to be lost. Start where you are today.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Thanks so much for joining the Tools for Success podcast. Every school faces challenges, things like disengaged students, overwhelmed teachers, and leaders stretched far too thin. At Tools for Success, we've been there too. Our team of licensed administrators and former teachers partner with schools to turn those challenges into growth. Through tailored professional development, we help teachers build confidence, leaders feel supported, and students thrive. Because at the end of the day, student success is what matters most. It starts with just one conversation. Schedule your complimentary consultation at toolsforsuccessindy.com. Now, back to our podcast.
So I had Rebecca on my podcast and we had a great conversation. And I asked her, I was like, I need more people to talk to. And she was like, oh, okay, I'll see you in my network. And then she made a connection with me and you. And then we got on a call, first of all. And I could not even speak. And I'm a chatterbox. But I was just in awe of that conversation with you. Like, who is this woman? And she's just speaking life into me. One of the first things that I really appreciated about our conversation was that you were unapologetic about speaking of your faith.
Amen.
And
Amen.
I was at that point, even now, frustrated because a lot of leaders in the public eye for whatever reason don't speak confidently about their faith, but we have so many other people speaking about what they believe in, right?
Well, we're taught not to offend. Especially in business, if I want to make money, I don't want to offend.
Right.
And if my Jesus Christ offends, then your money isn't welcome here.
Exactly right. So that was one of the things that really got me like, oh, wow. And so at that time too, so we decided on the days that you're going to come on the podcast and, things were happening in my head and I've been praying and believing God to for the expansion to get out of my garage. I'm like, I've been doing this for a couple of years and I wanted more space. I needed a space. No, not that I just wanted it. And I'd been looking for some spaces, but it was scary. It was real scary. I was also...
The garage is free.
Yeah, that part.
Sorry for the mortgage. The garage is free.
Right.
There's no risk.
There's no risk.
Shut this podcast down tomorrow, and he gets his car back in the garage.
Exactly.
That's the only benefit.
Right. Yes.
Right.
And so I was so nervous. I was so afraid of so many things, like the unknowns. But I went to go check out some spaces, and anyway, we get on the podcast with you. And you were like, start that podcast. I mean, get the space. And I was like, oh gosh, she's speaking right to me. And I was like, the energy and the words that you spoke into me was what gave me truly the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to step out in faith. Because if God has put this in my heart,
that's it.
I need to take the step.
What is of God cannot fail.
Yes.
So if God's placed it in your heart and said that's what you need to do, there is no failure.
Yeah.
It's only our insecurity.
Exactly.
Or our lack of faith that we claim that we have.
And I realized that if God is telling me to do it and I'm not doing something, I'm the one holding back, not God doing his part.
Amen.
So yes, fast forward, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months later.
I remember saying to you, the Lord is laying on my heart to start a podcast. When you step out in bold enough faith to get a space, you reach out to me, and I'll be your first podcast.
I know, right? And you are the first podcast in this space, which I am so thankful for. So that conversation that started with my conversation with Rebecca and then your conversation really is the bedrock of us being in this space right now. I mean, we are in a 3,000 square foot space in the heart of Castleton.
I know you all behind the cameras can't see it, but trust us, it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning.
So I have to say thank you for letting God use you. And thank you, Rebecca, too. I know she's behind the screen there, you know, that.
She'll be a guest later today.
Yes. And just saying thank you, because if we didn't have that conversation that led to other conversations, you would not have had the opportunity to really inspire me to do what God is already telling me to do. So that's the power of one conversation for me.
Yeah, and I think so often in life we have been taught, maybe it's because I'm old and I'm getting to the point now where, it's a tough thing to think about, but in reality, that I have probably breathed more days than I have yet to breathe. That's just a reality.
Right.
And the more you look at that, the more you realize how much time we waste. We waste it in conversations we don't have because we're so concerned about what the other person will think in that conversation. And so we just don't say it.
Right.
I don't think that what I said to you that day was anything profound.
Wow.
It was compelled to me to say it.
Yeah.
And I'm living my life now unapologetically in the love of Jesus Christ, in who he created me to be. Unapologetically. And I don't know that I've always done that. I think I've always been me. I think I've always been opinionated and strong-willed. But I don't know that I always would have had that conversation in the love that I feel now.
Right.
And that is that at the end of the day, whether you ever got a space or not, I was not going to hold back in what the Lord pressed to be said.
Well, and I'm so thankful you didn't hold back, because that was a word for me. I needed to see and hear from you in particular, because I'm sure maybe some other people said something to me, but it just kind of went, But that conversation was so pivotal to me being where we are right now.
So I hope you hear this. That conversation, I say this all the time, I was simply the vessel. That was directly Jesus Christ. Yeah. Telling you that he'd already put a gift in you, and you knew that. You started it in a garage. Yeah. You started in a garage. And I wonder how frequently our listeners hold back from having conversations or hold back from what they know needs to be said. We live in a world now that social media and podcasts and YouTube videos are all about there. But we were saying a little bit before we came on air that they can be polarizing, and they can be painful, and they can pull us to a place away from where we were called to be.
Right.
And I believe we're sitting here because I've said before on this podcast that I had been pressed to do a podcast. And I did what any good servant of the Lord does, and that is ignore him. That's what we do, right? When the Lord says something we don't want to hear, the first thing we do is think, I'm sure I heard that wrong.
Right. Am I sure? Really? Did
I? I'm sure that's what you said. And then I remember thinking, I don't know anything about making a podcast. I don't know anything about creating a podcast. I don't. What you all miss is there's people on the other sides of these cameras and microphones and checking lighting, and I don't know anything about any of that. And then I don't even know, once we record it, how to actually get it out there. I know nothing of that. I just know how to talk. And so I let all of those stories and excuses. And so what you probably don't realize is the power of that conversation back this way. And that the Lord said, there's your producer. There's your answer.
Wow.
Thanks for being a part of the Tools for Success podcast. At Tools for Success, we believe every student deserves a classroom where learning thrives. That's why we partner with schools to equip teachers and administrators with practical, research-based professional development that makes a real difference. From mastering classroom management to building data-driven strategies, our programs empower educators with tools and confidence to transform challenges into success. The result? Engaged teachers, supported leaders, and students who are prepared for the future. It starts with one conversation. So let's chat. Go to toolsforsuccessindy.com and click on Schedule Conversation, and let's see what we can do to help your students thrive. Now, back to our podcast.
You've been looking for the pieces, for the logistics, for the how it happens. There you are. So it wasn't just a one-sided conversation.
Yeah.
Because as I met you the whole time we're having this conversation, and I remember talking about your podcast, because if you remember, I was to come to your garage and record.
Right.
And my husband had gotten sick and went to the hospital, and we had to reschedule.
Yes,
and so we
did.
ultimately did it virtually, which I hate. I really love the energy of being with people. That's why I have guests come here. But I was kind of put off that we were going to have to do this virtually, but I thought at the end of the day, I don't have time.
Right.
You don't have time. I don't have time. We're going to have to make it happen. But so I want you to hear that the power of your conversation by simply talking and telling your story, because had you not done that, I'm not sure I'd be here today.
So let me add one more to that. In starting this place, we've been here for about 8-9 months now. Another layer of what that conversation did is how many people have walked in here and started their own podcasts.
Oh, wow.
And oh my God, I want to cry. We have a group that come here and talk about the mentor-mentee relationship that they have, and they pair them up. And the result, like the stories that we hear. And, look, the impacts, the ripple effects, I know that was the theme of season 1.
Yeah.
I know it was more on education, but the ripple effect of that conversation is multi-layered, in so much so that it's not just us, it's the people that are coming here, hearing their stories, and how that stories that they're telling is impacting other people that are listening either on the podcast platform or on YouTube. So.
Oh, wow. I walk away. I stand in awe often of, we don't know God's plan. Mm-hmm. But none of this is he surprised by.
Right.
He's not surprised. And I think of someday I will no longer be walking this earth. And I want that when I'm gone, I don't care what people think about Cathy Tooley. I care that they understand her love of the Lord.
Yes.
And her belief that everyone deserves a podcast.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves an opportunity to be sitting on this side of the camera if that's what you've been called to do.
Right.
And I think it's so powerful. The ripple, like you said, we did that story on it was amazing. Yeah. The ripple effect, our first, for those of you that haven't listened, oh my gosh, go back and listen to the first season. Oh, it's just about the ripple effects teachers cause. But, we don't think about, I never think about the ripple effect that conversation, that one powerful conversation,
oh my God, I'm having chills right now.
Will go far beyond you and I.
Yeah. It'll
go far beyond you and I, but not far beyond what the Lord intended.
Ooh, so good. Yeah.
Not far beyond what the Lord intended. I think about, as we wrap up this, because I don't want to, you have other things to do, because Victoria and I could continue to talk for hours and days, and
right.
I want to respect the fact that, we have a time schedule. But I want to ask you this question. Mm-hmm. What conversation have you had since that because of one powerful conversation?
Oh my God.
That has now moved forward, our conversation forward? And I know I'm putting you on the spot.
No. I could talk about several, but I would talk about the one that I just had yesterday.
Okay.
So this lady had come in here. She's multi-talented. Has a lot of. She's actually starting new things every day. And we had a conversation. She came in here, recorded a podcast, and she didn't do anything with it. And we were having a kind of like asking her, so what are you doing with this? And what are and she was like, but and I said, no, post it. Put it on YouTube. And I gave her some of the resources. And in that conversation, she told me, she's like, you helped me put all of it together. And now she's going to take that, and she has a group of women that she leads and talks to. And she's going to take that conversation that we had to then, inspire and lead and support the other women too. So wow. I think that, and what I'm trying to say is that conversation, even with you, gave me the confidence to know that there's power in an encouraging word, or inspiring word, or like being able to share your gift with others. Because for me, creating all of this is super easy. But for others, like you said, it's not as,
That's right.
So,
and not everyone's called to do this.
Right.
We're not saying everyone should start a podcast. That's not at all. But whatever it is that you're called to do.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for listening to Tools for Success podcast. What if 1 minute could change your day? A Gentle Walk, the new faith-based journal by our founder, Cathy Tooley, offers one prompt, one prayer, one small step closer to God. Start your gentle walk today. Learn more and get your copy by visiting Warren Publishing in the link below. Now back to the podcast.
Yeah, when you just said something, the hair on the back of my neck stood up when you said, I went and had a conversation with somebody else because of our conversation. How many listening to this podcast today are holding back on conversations that the Lord has told them to have?
Oh my God.
And because they're holding back and they're not saying, that conversation that you just had yesterday would have never happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And
we have to be bold. The Lord calls us to be bold in our faith
and
be bold with each other.
Right. And if you don't know what to say, He will put the words in your mouth to say it too. So
I did not think anything that I was saying was so profound. I will be honest with you. What I thought was, why don't you have a space? You're gifted. This is good. I'm sure the garage was lovely. I never got to see it, but I'm sure it was lovely. But I'm sure the garage is being reutilized for way better things now.
Oh, yeah.
Way better things. And I remember thinking, why aren't you in a space? Because I, too, have a lot of respect for Rebecca. When Rebecca mentioned you to me, anytime Rebecca says, I really think you'd be really good, be on their podcast, I think that would be a really good thing. Rebecca, no, she doesn't have to sell me hard. Mm-hmm. If Rebecca thinks it's good, she does VP of Sales and Marketing for us, for our company. And if she believes that that's a good move for me, for my company, she knows me, she knows my heart. She's telling me who you are. And I thought, really, you could save all that. Just say, here, I'm going to send an introduction, and I want you to have this conversation. And I remember we had stopped recording the podcast when we had that conversation. I don't think it's on anything that is recorded.
I actually forgot we were on a podcast.
Right.
I forgot completely because it was so good. Like, usually when you have a podcast, you have an intro, you have an outro, and all the things that you do in between. But it was so good that I was like, wait.
How long have we been talking? Right. And I remember because you wrapped up the podcast and said, I want to ask you about something. And then I did not feel like the conversation was anything profound. And I really feel as we're wrapping this up, how many of you listening to this are holding back on that conversation? Maybe it's with a loved one. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's with a child. Maybe it's with a spouse. Mm-hmm. I've said to my husband so many times, we've been married now almost 40 years. The one beautiful thing about our marriage is we are not scared of uncomfortable conversations.
Ooh, that's good.
We're not scared of them. We don't like them. Right. We'd rather not have them, but we're not scared of them because it is through the uncomfortable conversations. What is that old adage that you hear all the time? We don't grow in our comfort zones. Right. We grow when we're pushed. Yeah. And I get to have many meaningful conversations because we do a lot of coaching and with Tools for Success and with teachers that may or may not want to be coached. I don't get to decide where that conversation lands, but I can't not have it. Right. When I've been called to have it. Yeah. So I want to thank you. Well, thanks for coming on here today. Thank you for talking about this conversation. I appreciate it. And I really want to challenge those of you listening today to go have that conversation. You know it. It's in your heart. Right. You even as you're listening to this podcast, I would ask you to close your eyes and just ask. You know who that person is. Or maybe it'll just be somebody that the Lord will put in front of you today. Maybe it's your waitress today at the restaurant. Maybe it's the person standing there pumping gas beside you. But when you feel compelled, have it. Just have it. So thank you. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for joining us, everybody.